looked at the recent polls, you will find that our Governor Larry Hogan is very popular. Henry, is he going to be a tough guy to beat?
I don't want to use the term unbeatable, but
You just did.
But I think he's getting close to there. It's going to be hard because he appeals to both sides of the aisle. He's taken on some sticky issues that from a Republican conservative side, they don't necessarily embrace. But when you compare that to whoever he's running against, he's still to the right of them. So providing people show up to the polls, I don't see how he's going to lose.
So he negotiated. There's a new word for politics.
Well, no, it's actually an old word that we need to recycle.
Yeah.
Okay, because he tries to find common ground with people who view things differently than he does. He tries to find common ground and move policy forward.
Ron, what are your thoughts?
Just a little bit different than Henry's, but to the same conclusion. He's successful because of he's able to work with the Democrats in the state. But if he were in a more red state, he wouldn't have the success that he's got. So being a blue state and the things, he's got a money base in the 3 counties that he doesn't win overwhelmingly. They put the money into the state budget.
So you
the other 21 counties that we enjoy
Are takers.
Are takers.
Right.
So he's very fortunate to have a pot of money and a system because of what's been afforded as a blue state.
So you're saying he wouldn't win in Texas? Or he would have more challenges?
He would have way more challenges in Texas or Alabama or Nevada.
Well, and Ron, I actually agree with that. Only from the standpoint, I think he would.
What do you mean? But you agree, but only with a standpoint. Now, either you agree or disagree.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That said, I think that his problems, his additional problems in those states might be from the Republican side, because it seems to me that some of these true red states have a lot more what I'll call extremists that try to get their extreme candidates in. And I think that happens on both the left and right.
I agree with Ron's position here, because if he was in a red state, he would likely be primaried.
So
Henry just said a great point. He would be primaried in a red state.
he probably would, because he's more a centrist.
Yes.
So, Ron, do you think him, and I won't say that he's run away from President Trump, but he certainly distanced himself. Do you think that has been a benefit to him?
I don't know that you have to run away from him, towards him, or whatever. Govern the state that you're in, deal with the things you have, and let the president do his thing.
But
I think he's
my
been
point
wise
is
for the
that
way
he's not swung at a lot of shots that he could have.
There's no reason for him to do it.
Well, the president took money away from the Chesapeake Bay. That's not a reason for him to swing?
No, because he overcame it. Maryland will find a way to do it. Maryland's a progressive state.
But it wouldn't have been easier for Governor Hogan to get entangled with a war of words with Trump.
No, because he knows better. That's why he's a smart politician.
Well, smart politician, this latest poll suggests that 65% of registered Democrats support him, 64% of independents, 81% of Republicans. That's pretty high numbers, especially on the Democratic side.
Sure, it's
Are they
high
the,
numbers.
is that those 3 counties you were talking about?
That's where it's at. That's where the money comes from for the state of Maryland.
69% approval rating. Henry, what do you think of that one?
I think it's low.
You think it's low?
Yeah, based upon the success that he's had, the only governor I believe he trails is the Republican governor of Massachusetts, who has come.
A blue state.
A blue state
A
who has
blue
come
state.
to Maryland and helped Governor Hogan with various fundraising activities. I'm sure it's, in exchange. It's just his popularity is very broad-based. Okay, unlike the previous Republican governor we had, it's very broad-based. It appeals to people who are common sense voters. Okay, they go out there. As a Republican, is he as conservative as I want? No, but he's the best choice I have, so I'm going to show up and vote for him.
What would you be more conservative on?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what would you be more
Well,
conservative
I mean,
on?
the most recent thing has been the discussion about Second Amendment and some of his
Can we
positioning.
just like leave God's guns and gays out of the conversation and use running government as what we're talking about? Because that's what we always get into, and we've already proven when you elect people based on moral fabric, you elect people that can't govern.
But unfortunately, you're not going to exclude that from the people who are going to vote. So
People are going to put that into the conversation whether or not it's
Do
right.
they do it in
and
Maryland?
I frankly
they
think
don't do
it
it.
is.
Maryland's a blue state. They're not a red state. So that's not the centerpiece of running for politics. in
And I don't
Maryland.
think he's made it the centerpiece.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
But, well-
what conservative virtue does Hogan have, or what has he not done? Keep those kind of things out of that.
But
that's-
what I'm saying is that the part of the party he may lose, that they decide, hey, I'm not going to show up and vote because he's not conservative enough for me. If they don't show up and vote, then he's going to have a trouble in this election. So the people who are really far to the right need to understand, you have to go out and vote. You have to express, if you have a choice between someone who is right of center a little bit or someone who is far left of center, then you need to, and you're a conservative, you need to vote to someone who's slightly right of center.
So when somebody asked me probably 4 years ago this time if Larry Hogan, the candidate, would have had a chance of winning over Anthony Brown, I said and would have said, absolutely not. I thought Anthony Brown was the heir apparent.
I didn't.
You did?
I did not. I'm not an Anthony Brown supporter, and I wasn't an O'Malley supporter.
I was not necessarily an Anthony Brown supporter, but I thought he was a
He
shoo-in.
didn't have it. He lost his way. He got involved in too many things. And you had an election with, you had just prior to that, you had Obama and you had O'Malley. He suffered the consequences of the dislike for Obama and O'Malley, and that's when
But-
Hogan was there at the right
But
time.
one of the issues that I think benefits Hogan in this is the number of people who are running for governor on the Democratic side. I think they're going to bruise each other substantially during the primary. And then they're going to be carrying those wounds into a governor with a 69% approval rating.
Okay,
I wonder what his approval rating is in Montgomery County, Baltimore City, and Prince George's.
If he's still plus 50%, he's going to win the election.
No, I realize that, but the 20, he's 21 county governor too.
right.
20,
we don't have those numbers at this point.
Yeah, 21 counties is very pro-Hogan. So those 21 counties that show up is going to beat the big three.
Maybe.
It's been
They have to
challenges in
show
the
up.
past.
They have to show up in numbers.
That's
Right.
my point. They have to show up.
In
Why wouldn't they
numbers.
show up?
Well, I don't know.
What happens if they don't show up?
51% view him as a moderate. To Henry's point, that could hurt him in the general election.
It would hurt him in primary, and he's not primary.
He's not primary, but it can hurt him in the general because they may not show up to vote for him because he's not conservative enough. And I know you want to exclude God's guns and whatever else, but the rest of the voting world is not going to exclude it, so we can't just exclude it from this conversation. But I'm going to take the last word on that. Coming up next, Fast Five. We're back in 3.